The Holy Gospel according to the 9th chapter of Matthew. Glory to you, O Lord. As Jesus was walking along, he saw a man called Matthew sitting at the tax collection station. And he said to him, "Follow me." And Matthew got up and followed Jesus. And as he sat at dinner in the house, many tax collectors and sinners came and were sitting with Jesus and his disciples. When the Pharisees saw this, they said to the disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" But when Jesus heard this, he said, "Those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. For I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." While Jesus was saying these things to them, suddenly a leader came in and knelt before him, saying, "My daughter has just died, but come and lay your hands on her, and she will live." And Jesus got up and followed him with his disciples. Then suddenly a woman who had been suffering from a flow of blood for 12 years came up behind him and touched the fringe of his cloak. For she was saying to herself, "If only I touch his cloak, I will be made well." Jesus turned, and seeing her, he said, "Take heart, daughter. Your faith has made you well." And the woman was made well from that moment. When Jesus came to the leader's house and saw the flute players and the crowd making a commotion, he said, "Go away, for the girl is not dead, but sleeping." And they laughed at him. But when the crowd had been put outside, he went in and took her by the hand, and the girl got up. And the report of this spread through all of that district. The gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, O Christ. Please be seated. I wonder sometimes if we really took Jesus at his actual word, would we still follow? Matthew was a tax collector. Now, folks, this is not the IRS. He's sitting in a booth. He's a little bit of a you shall not pass kind of guy, saying, "You owe Rome most everything of what you have, now give it to me." And usually he's taking a little more than he's supposed to for himself. And what Rome is taking is so much that people have not enough to live on. They are occupiers in this land, and they are draining it of its resources. So like I said to the kids, kind of a bully. Kind of like give me your lunch money kind of stuff. This is who Jesus crosses paths with on the side of the road and says, "Follow me," and then goes to dinner with. Now, dinner, we dine with a lot of different people over time in our lives, but it's still the place we reserve for people whom we respect. And there's still a sense of inviting someone over for dinner or going to dinner at someone's home, giving a sense of acknowledgement that they are worthy of your presence kind of thing. And much, much more so in Jesus' time. So the Pharisees, they have a valid question, right? We're accustomed to Pharisees trying to trip Jesus up, and that happens. And also, this is a valid question. Why is he doing this? I can picture the kinds of folks I might encounter on the road, maybe carrying large guns with bulletproof vests on, or maybe folks who have attempted a carjacking. That's the kind of person Jesus invites to follow him and goes to dinner with. Like I said to the kids, a little bit like Jesus sitting down with bullies. This story is important. We see the absolute, unconditional, covenant love of God. The word we heard in our reading from Hosea is chesed, God's covenant loyalty, and that is the reading that Jesus echoes when he says, I desire mercy, not sacrifice. A covenant is something you enter into not for a moment, but for a lifetime, and in which you profess loyalty to one another. A deep, active loyalty that goes beyond just what is required, so don't just check off the boxes, but do your absolute most to show your loyalty. And that is the kind of mercy that Jesus then reflects to the Pharisees when they challenge him for dining with these tax collectors. You're great at sacrifice. You go to the temple, you do the sacrifices, you keep all the law, and you make sure everybody else does too. But I desire mercy. For I have come to call not the righteous, but sinners. You cannot behave your way out of sin to mercy, but rather extend the mercy you have received in love to others. Jesus has come to call sinners. So hearkening back to, if we take Jesus at his actual word, would we still follow? Well, this is good news for us sinners, for those of us who fall short over and over and over again, and because of the grace of God can turn back again and again and again. We who struggle to love the neighbor, the tax collector, whoever that is in our lives, we who struggle to give generously, we who struggle to fill in the blank. Today, we hear that we are called even though we are not worthy of that call. Just like last week we heard that we are sent even though we aren't ready. Do you see a theme here? We don't get to perfection and then follow Jesus or are sent by Jesus, but rather in the midst of our humanity, in the midst of our need of mercy, in our midst of the fact that we are yet still sinners. We name this each and every week in our confession and forgiveness, and I am reminded most profoundly when I hear the one I heard most in my childhood, because it begins, we confess that we are captive to sin and cannot free ourselves. And then it goes on to describe how we have sinned against God by what we do and by what we don't do. By the fact that we have not loved God with our whole heart, we have not loved our neighbor as ourselves. And then, for the sake of Jesus Christ, have mercy on us. Forgive us, renew us, and lead us, so that we may delight in your will and walk in your ways, to the glory of your holy name. Amen. You cannot be worthy of the grace and love of God you have come to know in Jesus, and it is yours. You can't earn it, you can't lose it. And just to be clear how serious God is about this, Jesus sits and dines with tax collectors and then goes and heals in ways that are audacious. Jesus heals a woman who had no right to touch him and who by touching him made him ritually unclean because she was bleeding. Bleeding for 12 years, socially and spiritually outcast because that's who she was to everyone she encountered, someone who could make them ritually unclean. She touches his cloak without his permission. He notices, and he says, "You are made well. You are healed." She is restored to community at this point. She becomes a part of the community again because the thing that separated her is no longer there, and also the thing that has drained her of her very lifeblood has been healed. And after that, he makes his way and finds the leader's daughter, and lest we think that, this is someone who is considered righteous in the community, this healing isn't audacious. She's dead. This is a corpse that Jesus touches. Again, something that would make him ritually unclean. Yet he touches her. He heals her. She gets up. And she is made well. God's mercy is for all. Not because they are worthy, before they can even do anything to be so. Violating purity codes, a bleeding woman, a corpse. No one is disqualified from following Jesus. Which means neither are you. No matter what you think makes you unworthy of sharing the story, unworthy of taking steps of discipleship. I don't know the Bible well enough, Pastor. I don't give enough, Pastor. I don't have a great story to tell about faith, Pastor. I couldn't possibly share my story. None of those things make you unworthy. God's covenant loyalty is for you. Jesus calls you. And by the grace of God, you are forgiven. By the mercy of God, you are freed and made well, that you might respond with the same kind of audacious faith and love, so that barriers could be dissolved, so that we can enter into spaces and touch people we may have considered unclean or unworthy, so that we can initiate relationship with people that we may see as unredeemable. You are called to follow Jesus. You are called to forgive and to free all the undeserving people you meet because you have first received such grace and forgiveness and love. Sharing God's steadfast love so that all may come to know God's hasid, God's covenant loyalty and love that knows no bounds and no barriers. Thanks be to God.